Good evening guys, welcome to the IS network. For today we are going to discuss about the current affairs of 23rd of August. Join me as soon as it's possible. Then we will start the discussion of current affairs for today, that is 23rd of August. The topics for today guys, some of the topics there in the news for today. The surcharge, government has basically said to impose some kind of surcharge, especially on the companies. The second type of thing, guys, it is in the news, it is NBFCs. What exactly the NBFCs are? Non-banking financial corporations. And third is, guys, United States recently said that they will be imposing some kind of sanctions on the Iran again, but guys, it has been hugely opposed by all of the parties. So what exactly the issue is? The fourth topic for today, guys, what exactly the right to privacy, is it a fundamental right or not? The fifth topic for today, guys, it will be the National Health Authority. What exactly it is, what are the functions of National Health Authority, and what exactly the work, and related to this we will be covering it. The last topic for today, guys, which will be the deep state. One of the recent statement, it has been made by the President of United States that they are facing some kind of challenges in some of the sectors. So we will discuss about it, what exactly the deep state is and what is the basic definition of deep state. I hope all of the guys is my voice is clear? Is my voice clear to each and every student? If yes, say me yes. Then I'm going to start the topic, guys. First topic for today, it is surcharge. Government has basically said to impose some kind of surcharge on NBFCs, right? So what exactly the surcharge is? Please try to understand. Surcharge, it is basically tax on tax. Tax on tax means the tax had already been imposed by the government. Let's say, as an example, the tax rupees 1,000 rupees tax has been imposed. It is a basic tax rate, but the tax on tax, another charge that has been imposed on the tax, it means another 100 rupees if they have been imposed by the government. This is basically called as surcharge. And why government used to impose this type of surcharge, guys? To collect the extra revenue, so that the government expenditure can become really good. Government expenditure like on the services, let's say in the wake of COVID-19 situation, government can have extra revenue in the treasury, and if they will be having extra revenue, they can easily implement the health related measures across the India, right? So this is the major purpose of it. The surcharge, it is tax on tax imposed by the government. Now what is the basic difference between the cess? You might have heard about the cess also. Cess and surcharge. Cess, it is also imposed, it is for the particular purpose. It is for the particular purpose, guys, but in case of the surcharge, it cannot be, it may not be for the particular purpose, So that is a major difference, guys. In case of the cess, it is also not distributed or divided with the states. The very same point, it is also applicable for the surcharge. Surcharge is also not divided, or it is not distributed between center and state. The tax, please try to understand it. It is a major difference between tax, cess and surcharge. Tax, it is to be divided, and it is to be shared with the states. So in case of the surcharge, it is needed not to be shared with the state. The another most important thing is, guys, if the surcharge that has been imposed by Government of India, in which of the account it will move, or it will be deposited, guys? It will be deposited under the consolidated fund of India. India, it means it is really a very important part. It forms a very important part of our constitution, right? So we have discussed everything. That these are some of the limits, guys. 10% for the between 25 lakh to 1 CR, 15% on the income that falls in the range of 1 CR to 2 CR. So there can be surcharge. In case of the cess, guys, cess, it is for the particular purpose. The very fine example is, guys, that is clean energy cess. Clean energy cess that was imposed by the government on coal developers and coal miners. This particular cess was imposed. So I also discussed what is the major difference between the cess and surcharge, which of the government. And one more thing, guys, who used to decide the surcharge? Deciding authority. Please try to remember it. Deciding authority is very, very important, guys. First, it generally used to be discussed by the cabinet, and the ultimate decision, it generally used to be taken by Ministry of Finance, right? So you will often notice that Minister of Finance generally used to make the decision. They generally used to make this kind of statement that surcharge has been imposed, or it has been eliminated or removed from any of the thing. right? So we have discussed everything in this regard. What is surcharge, what is the difference between the tax, what is the cess also, and either it can be divided with the states, shared with the states or not. Let's move on to the next topic for today, guys. It is NBFC, very extremely important topic, guys. NBFCs are again in the news. Last year also the NBFCs were in the news. So what exactly the NBFC is, and the surcharge kind of topic, guys. Government has ordered to impose the surcharge on the NBFCs. So first we need to understand this particular thing. What exactly the NBFCs is? Non-banking financial corporations, non-banking financial companies or corporation, right? So financial companies, guys, these are some of the specific type of companies should be registered under the Company Act of 1956. It should be the major provision. Please try to understand, this should be registered under the Company Act of 1956, and they can have any kind of business. Any kind of business means the loan kind of business, the share kind of business, or any other kind of business, guys. They can, etc. They can easily operate. But please try to understand, one necessary condition has been basically written under the Company Act. Those all companies which they are registered as an NBFC, should not have principal business. Please try to understand, principal business in agriculture activities plus industrial activities. This is the necessary condition. It has been mentioned under the charter, under the act of NBFCs, and it is a necessary condition. It is to be followed by all of the NBFCs. Their primary work should not belong to the agriculture activities or to the industrial activities. So we should also discuss what exactly the work, what is the major difference between NBFCs and banks. See, they are also doing, if any of the NBFC that is being basically they are being involved in any kind of work related to banking services. What is the major difference between banks and NBFC, right? First major difference is, guys, NBFCs cannot accept the demand deposit. It means if any of the demand deposit, if I will be going to the NBFCs and if I will be depositing, let's say 100 rupees, it cannot be deposited under demand deposit. It means whenever I will demand for my money, cannot be given back, right? So the banks can accept the demand deposit. First most important thing, guys. The second thing is, guys, the NBFCs cannot basically avail the facility of the check, that is drawn on themselves. It means if any of the check that has been basically drawn on the NBFCs cannot be withdrawn because they do not form the part of Payment and Settlement Systems Act, right? So this is the most important thing. The check cannot be withdrawn, especially that has been drawn on the NBFCs. But in case of the bank, you can apply for any kind of check related services. The next most important service, guys, if you have deposited, let's say if you have deposited any amount of money under the NBFC, guys, there will not be any kind of insurance. There will not be any kind of insurance of the money. They can easily go default. Defaulting kind of activities can be taking place, but in case of the banks, guys, the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation used to provide the facility of insurance under the money deposited in the banks. And recently in the budget of 2020, guys, please try to remember it, for the upcoming year, for the 2020-21, the insurance limit under the Deposit Insurance and Credit Guarantee Corporation, it has been recently increased in the very recent budget. Now the insurance kind of services will be provided up to the 5 lakh rupees. It means if you are having the deposit of 5 lakh rupees in the bank, you can have insurance on that particular money. But in case of the NBFCs, guys, it is not available. Please try to read it comparatively. Very important. One more thing, guys, in case of the bank, CRR related activities or CRR related norms are not applicable to the NBFCs, right? Another thing is, guys, one most important thing is the priority sector lending. Earlier day, on some of the day before also, I also discussed the priority sector lending kind of norms. Norms are not applicable to the NBFCs. This is really a very important kind of point. It means priority sector lending, it means for the certain kind of activities, let's say agriculture, housing, MSMEs, and I also discussed startups have been recently included under the PSL. The 40% of net bank credit should be allocated to the priority sector lendings. Who used to guys designate the sector as priority sector lending? Government of India. So in case of the priority sector lending norms, NBFC, on the NBFCs, these norms are not applicable. So I have discussed everything in this regard. Now, what types of NBFCs? What are the types of NBFCs, guys? The NBFCs can have different types. The types like loan kind of NBFC, loan related services, guys. Infrastructure finance NBFCs, they can finance the infrastructure. Guys, machine related NBFCs, they can provide subsidy related on the subsidy on some of the certain kind of machines. Let's say on the tractor, they can provide the subsidies, right? So these are some of the certain kind of NBFCs. Let's move on to the next one, guys. One more thing I just want to tell you related to NBFC, guys. NBFCs can have different type of regulation. NBFCs regulation, please try to remember it. There is not a single authority which generally used to regulate the NBFCs. Please try to remember it. Let's say if any of the NBFC, it is basically doing the work related to, it is accepting the deposit. Let's say it is accepting the deposit, then the regulation belong to the RBI. If any of the NBFC is providing the insurance related services, it means IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, will be basically the regulator of it. If it is basically accepting some other kind of products, so the different agency can also regulate the NBFCs. It means the RBI regulation, the sole RBI regulation, that is not applicable to the NBFC. Please try to remember it. Very important kind of point. If any of the statement will be mentioned in the exam that NBFCs are only regulated by Reserve Bank of India, will definitely be 100% wrong. So I have discussed everything in this regard. What is NBFCs, what is the basic work of it, what is the difference between an NBFC and a bank, and what are some of the important kind of specifications of NBFC. One more thing, guys, last year you might have heard about it. NBFCs can also take the work related to infrastructure leasing. Infrastructure leasing, it means they can provide the loan for the infrastructure, and this is the most important thing is, guys, last year you might have heard about it, IL and FS crisis. Infrastructure leasing and financial services, it was also an NBFC. It was NBFC related to it. Infrastructure leasing and financial services, it generally used to loan, it generally used to finance the infrastructure project that was going on. And guys, in case of any of the country and developing country like India, the infrastructure funding becomes really important. So that is why it was important, but it has gone default. So that is why all of the NBFCs, they become in the news. They were working in the infrastructure. Government should basically regulate and provide the finance to the NBFCs as soon as it's possible to revive them. Let's move on to the next topic for today, guys. United States sanctions on the Iran. What are the sanctions? What are the types of sanctions on the Iran? Why US is basically saying to impose some kind of sanctions on the Iran? Please try to remember it. Iran and United States sanctions. See, there were some kind of huge tensions. They were going on in the year of 2014 and 15 between US and Iran. Recently, one of the proposal has been put by the United States to put the sanctions on the Iran, right? Related to nuclear agreements and all. But 15 out of the guys, 5 permanent member and the 10 non-permanent member, out of 15 member, guys, 13 members have opposed this kind of move of the United Nations. So that is why the news come in the focus, that why US just want to impose the sanctions again and again on the Iran, country like Iran, right? So guys, in the 2014-15, you might have heard about it. One of the deal that was signed. Basically, Iran was expensing its nuclear program, under which, guys, it was developing some kind of enriched uranium 238 plus heavy water reactors it was developing. So that has come in the news. But the thing is, in the 2015, one of the deal that was came into the effect that was called as JCPOA. You might have heard about it. Very important kind of deal that was signed. JCPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, guys. It has been signed between the permanent 5 members of the United Nations plus 1 member. Permanent 5, you know about it, and 1 member, it was, guys, Germany. So they have signed a deal with the Iran that they will not be using the nuclear kind of facilities, especially for the army purpose. Plus one more thing, guys, it was signed that enriched uranium enriched uranium-238 should not be used for the army purpose or for the defense purpose. Solely it will be used for the peace building. And one more thing, it has been signed under it, guys. IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, will be providing the technical support to the Iran to basically use the nuclear nuclear kind of programs, especially for the peace and for the civil purpose, let's say for the electricity generation. So IAEA, guys, JCPOA was signed in the year of 2015, came into the effect in the year of 2015 between P5 permanent 5 members of the United Nations plus 1 member, that was Germany, under which the nuclear programs that was used for the defense purpose by the Iran, guys, it will definitely be stopped, and enriched production of the uranium-238 will be stopped, and heavy water related reactors will only be used for the civil purpose, not for the defense or for any kind of strategic purpose. So IAEA will be providing the specific technical guidance to the Iran under this program. So IAEA was in the news, guys. What was IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency? Again, it was in the news, guys. It is the basic motive. Please try to remember the motive of these kind of international organization. Atoms for peace. Atoms for peace. It means any of the atomic mineral that is basically used by the countries, it should be used for the peace. It should be used for the peaceful purpose, right? Atoms for the peace, and it is headquartered. It is basically located in the Vienna. Vienna, it is located, and it is in the Austria region, and it was established in the year of 1957. Please try to remember it. It is generally used to report to the United Nations General Assembly related to works that has been conducted to decrease down the atomic production expansion, atomic mineral production expansion for the strategic and defense purpose, right? The atomic minerals should not be used for the defense purpose. So it was the tagline, it was made for the IAEA, atoms for peace, right? So IAEA is it is having the basic motive that if you just want to use the nuclear energy, use it for the peace. Headquarter located Vienna, 1957. It reports to the United Nations General Assembly. Please try to remember it. It is not an specialized agency of the United Nations. This is really an important kind of point. So I have discussed about it. Recently, US has put the proposal that Iran is still involved in expanding its nuclear program, but still none of the evidences they have been found by the countries. 15 out of 15 countries, 13 countries have opposed the move of the United States. So it has basically this kind of proposal has been taken back by the United States, right? So now let's move on to the next topic for today, guys. Right to privacy. It was hugely in the debate. See, in the wake of COVID-19 situation, guys, government of India has launched. You might have heard about it, guys. Arogya Setu app. Arogya Setu app has been rolled out by the government of India to track the patients of the COVID, and if any of the locality is having any kind of COVID patient, it can track the patient. So one of the recent update has been installed in this particular app, Arogya Setu app. So still some of the persons are saying that it is violating the provisions related to right to privacy. So again, it is in the news. Either it is a fundamental right, it is not a fundamental right, or what exactly it is. Please try to understand. See, one of the petitions that has been signed, that has been filed in the Supreme Court earlier to 2017. Please try to remember, earlier to 2017 it was not a fundamental right, but in case of in the 2017, one of the landmark judgment has been passed. Please try to remember the petition name. It will help you in the mains as well as in the prelims. Direct statement can be given. Puttaswamy versus Union of India. One of the case and petition has been filed in the Supreme Court. In this case, under this case or petition, the Supreme Court has said that right to privacy, very, very important. It is basically a fundamental right. It is applicable to all of the persons. Please try to understand. A right to privacy, it is a fundamental right under Article 21 that belongs to the right to life. It means the right to privacy kind of fundamental rights cannot be curtailed at any cost, and this kind of thing, landmark judgment was passed by the Supreme Court, and it falls under the aegis of Article 21. So that was also a debate about it. It was also a discussion that right to privacy, is it applicable? Is it applicable to the Indians exclusively? Is it only available to the Indians exclusively? Guys, article, I am going to tell you one thing. Article 15, 16, 19, 29 and 30, these are the fundamental rights. They are exclusively available for the Indians only, not for the foreigners. But in case of the Article 21, under which right to privacy falls, it falls under the aegis of it. It is available to the foreigners as well. Those all foreigner persons or foreign citizens, they are visiting to the India. If there is any kind of violation of their privacy, they can also move. They can also have to move. They can also move to the Supreme Court as well as High Court. So this is the judgment that has been passed under Puttu Swamy petition versus Government of India. Again, I am repeating it. It falls under the aegis of Article 21 of our fundamental rights. Please try to remember it. So I have discussed it. Also, the petition has been basically under which of the case it has been basically said. All of the things I have discussed. So some key issues have been raised related to contract tracing, that any of the patient that is moving from this one to this one, this location to that location. But the government has denied that they are not violating the provisions related to right to privacy. It is just for the safety related concerns of the security, right? So let's move on to the next topic, guys. National Health Authority, what exactly it is and what are some of the basic provisions of National Health Authority, right? So let's move on, guys. National Health Authority, it has been basically established. Please try to remember, it has been established under the provisions of Society Registration Act of Government of India, under which this agency has been set up by the Government of India. What will be the work of it, guys? Please try to remember the work of any of the body. Guys, the basic work of National Health Authority will be to implement the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. In the earlier lectures also I have discussed the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in a very detailed way. It is basically a health insurance scheme. And under which two components, health and wellness centers, will be established, and guys, per family health insurance will be provided to the persons under Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. So what will be the National Health Authority, guys? Will be releasing the guidelines related to the implementation of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. Basic guidelines will be imposed. It will be implemented. The second thing, guys, it will discuss the actual implementation of Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. If any of the person is claiming that he is not getting the insurance kind of facilities, it will also be hearing these type of disputes. One more thing, guys. Who will be the chairperson of it? National Health Authority. There will be two things under it. One thing is, guys, it will be governed by the governing board, and governing board will be chaired by Minister of Health and Family Welfare. Please try to remember, it will be chaired by Minister of Health and Family Welfare, the governing board. But one more thing, but it will be having a full-time chairman. That will be called as CEO, Chief Executive Officer, right? So I have discussed everything in this regard. What is the actual provision of National Health Authority and what is the very basic work of National Health Authority, right? So National Health Authority, again I am repeating it, it is registered under Society Registration Act. Please try to remember it. It is not a statutory organization. It is not a statutory body. If you will be finding the statement, UPSC generally used to put this kind of a statement in the prelims, that National Health Authority is a statutory body established under Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. 100% wrong statement, guys. It is just a society registered under Society Registration Act. So I have discussed everything in this regard. Let's move on to the deep state. One of the things that is in the news, guys, deep state. What is deep state and what is the basic work of deep state, guys? Recently deep state. Recently the president of the United States, he has stated that the Food and Drug Administration of United States, they are having some of the officers of Food and Drug Administration, they are working as a deep state, and they are working against the vaccine trial, and they are willingly delaying the approval of vaccines and clinical trials of the vaccine. So again, deep state, it is in the news, and who is guys, who has approved this kind of terminology? Please try to understand it. See, deep state. Deep state can have a different type of meaning. First, the deep state can be positive. Deep state means the first know the definition of deep state, guys. The parallel thinkers to the government, as well as some of the persons or organizations or individuals, they can act parallelly to the government, or they can think about any such kind of scenario. This is called the deep state. This kind of phenomenon, it is called as deep state, let's say. And now there can be positive as well as negative kind of effects or works related to deep state. Let's say positive and negative, very important kind of thing. Please try to remember it. UPSC can directly put this kind of a statement. One of the recent term, it was in the news, deep state, it is related to. So guys, deep states are related to parallel individuals, governments, or any other organization working either positively or either negatively for the government, right? Positive means, guys, any of the NGO or individual, it is basically finding some kind of finding or making the research for the vaccine, as an example for the vaccine of COVID-19. It will be called as positive deep state, right? But government do not know them, right? Government, these type of actors are generally not known to the government. The negative kind of terminology, guys, the negative act can be done. Let's suppose terror kind of activities. Terror activity, it is the most important type of deep state, guys. Let's say under the Pakistan, there are a lot of deep states. They have been basically created, and they are working against the global peace as well as against the government, willful or lawful government. That has been established in the Pakistan. One more example, guys. Let's suppose if any of the gang that is basically involved in the terror kind of activities in India, so it means they are trying to unroot the lawful government has been established democratically by the people of India. Now they are trying to unroot it. It means they are working against the government, and they are involved in the illegal kind of activities. This is called a deep state. Please try to remember it. Deep state, it means they are working. One more thing, guys, it was not related to deep state, but the very same word it is there. So I just want to explain it. Deep web. You might have heard about this particular thing, deep web. But please try to understand, deep state, it is different kind of thing, and deep wave, it is really a different kind of thing. Let's understand what exactly the deep wave is. Very important thing, guys. These kind of terms, it is a tendency of UPSC to put these kind of terms in the prelims paper. In case of the deep web, obviously you guys are having either Internet Explorer or Google Chrome, right? Google Chrome. Obviously you are having this kind of software, and if you just want to access any kind of website, if you just want to access, you can use these kind of search engines. But in case of the deep webs, guys, they are not generally accessible. They are not generally accessible by the normal citizens. By the normal citizen, let's say if you will be browsing any of the site on the Google, and if you are not finding any results, and it is accessible by the links, or those all persons which are having a nexus of these all links, and they are also present on these such type of website like Google Chrome or Internet Explorer, but generally they are not accessible by the simple person or normal citizens. It means they are present on the web search engines but cannot be accessible without their links. This is called deep web. Please try to understand it. These kind of questions now UPSC is putting. So I have discussed everything in this regard. Turkey was having the rich history. Pakistan is also having this kind of terrorism. So we have discussed everything in this regard. First, what exactly, guys, deep state is. One more thing, I also discussed what is deep web. The another thing, guys, which I have discussed, that's National Health Authority, everything related to it. And one more thing, guys, right to privacy. Please try to remember Puttu Swami versus Union of India. This kind of judgment has been passed for right to privacy, and it has been declared as a fundamental right under Article 21 of Indian Constitution, and it is also applicable to the foreigners. Please try to remember, direct article can be asked. Again, guys, IAEA and JECPOA, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, I have discussed with you what are the provisions of it and what is IAEA, why United States just want to impose the sanctions to the Iran, right? And one more thing, guys, I just want to tell you, that you might have heard about it, one of the recent peace deal that has been signed between UAE and Israel. It was also related, it was also indirectly related to it. Let's say Iran was not imposing it, Iran was not following the provisions that have been mentioned under JCPOA, and the deal has been broken by the Iran. So that is why United States, obviously United States is having the historical relations with the UAE, and UAE is having basically Sunni majority, and guys, Israel, obviously they are having the Jews. So United States has brokered this kind of peace agreement between these two, and Iran is having basically the Shia kind of population, Shia Muslim majority. So that is means Shia and Sunni generally used to work as opposite community. So in the wake of this kind of situation, US has basically aligned the countries oppositely, so that the Iran can be opposed by the UAE, United Arab Emirates as well, right? So we have discussed everything in this regard. What is NBFC, what are the works of NBFC, what is the difference between NBFC and bank, and first thing I have discussed, guys, what is surcharge, what is cess, and what is tax related to it. So I hope you have liked the session. If you liked it, do like it, do share with the maximum student, and do subscribe the IES Network channel. You will be getting the daily videos right at 7:30 as per daily current affairs of the daily current affairs, guys, and do share it with your maximum friends. So because sharing is caring, maximum students can get the benefits of daily current affairs initiative. And do subscribe the IES Network channel. We'll be meeting tomorrow right at 7 p.m. with the new day's current affairs. Alright guys, thank you for attending the class, and again thank you, do like it.